losing CD2 in 2022 was extremely costly. We got another Paul Gosar in CD2 rather than a hardworking Democrat, Tom O'Halloran, who cared about working people. We need to turn that around because not only is Crane among the most radical in Congress, but any Republican now in Congress empowers people like Mike Johnson and the entire radical portion of the Republican Party. With that said, I want to introduce, and I'm thrilled that you're running. As soon as President Nez, as soon as I heard that you were running, I literally jumped up and down. I'm really happy to see you in this campaign, and we're going to do all we can to get you elected. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Jonathan Nez, running for Congress in CD2.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you to the Democrats of Casa Grande. Just a brief introduction. I don't know how much time. I know you all have your regular meeting, and I don't want to take too much time away from all the other items. But I do appreciate you all having me on this evening. I just got off a Zoom call with the LD7 Democrats, and they're excited as well. And just a brief introduction, Jonathan Nez. Unlike my opponent, I was born in District 2, stayed in District 2, went to school at Northern Arizona University, lumberjacks, maybe there's some lumberjacks in the house, and went home to serve. I come from a little community called Shanto, Arizona. If you're familiar with the northeastern part of Arizona, if you know where Kayenta, Tuba City, and Page is, that triangle, right in the middle of Shanto. Such a small town that if you blink, you could miss that town. I grew up in a rural community with no running water, no electricity. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we still don't have running water. But I know that many people still don't have running water. We haul water to our storage tanks. It gives you a little resilience, right? But of course, there is need everywhere throughout this great state of Arizona. Went home to serve 18 years of service. It started out with the local community. They call it a vice president of the chapter, but similar to a vice mayor. At the young age of 25 years old, I was elected into office. My wife and I just want to preface the discussion that my wife has always been supportive. And I always tease people. I mean, she was actually the president, and I was just the face of the presidency. But working together as a partnership, we were able to give back. And our elders, and I'm sure in many rural communities, that's our goal for our children to go get an education and come back and help build their communities. And our elders encouraged us to do that, and I took it to heart. I went home. Early career, early part of my life, started out there at the chapter, became a lawmaker of the Navajo Nation, was elected 3 terms. I wanted to be like my grandfather, a councilman. And I got to that goal, being a councilman, because my grandfather helped so many people. We would always, of course, we always tell when we introduce ourselves or who our parents are, our grandparents. When I got to my grandparents, people will say, "Oh, your grandfather helped." And I grew up hearing those stories. When I was 1 year old is when my grandfather went back with the Creator, and I just heard a lot of stories, and I think that really encouraged me to go into public services just to help. And the people continued to encourage me to keep on going, and didn't think I was ever going to be, a vice president or president of the Navajo Nation, and that happened. And I did 2 terms, 6 years actually, a term and a half as a Navajo County Board of Supervisor for District 1. So I got some background in county work, state work, federal work, but of course, being the president, you deal directly, nation to nation with the federal government, the Congress, the executive branch, and learned a lot. 18 years of public service, a large network that we built, my wife and I, and we transitioned out of Window Rock, our Navajo Nation capital, January, and we thought we were gonna, retire out of elected life. We moved to Flagstaff, live happily ever after, as they say. But the great folks in Flagstaff and all over the district, including former Congresswoman Karen English, sat me down and encouraged me to consider running for Congress. Of course, I have to go home, talk to my family. We got to pray about it, and also crunch the numbers, right? As you know, Congressional District 2 is leaning Republican because of the redistricting that occurred, and we lost that seat to the incumbent now, Eli Crane. But by looking at the numbers, just as Ralph said, just us getting into the race, we cut that deficit in half. And because of the large network, not to boast, but just having that network. And, and of course, Mr. Crane has shot himself in the foot many times, and I think he's lost some points there. So we're there. And that's where I come to you, Pastor Grand, Democrats, for your support. I would appreciate, the signing of petitions if you're in District 2, and even giving for everybody, giving to our campaign, because, we need to show DCCC, the DNC, many peoples around the country that this is a serious campaign. I of course, I know it's a serious campaign, but this country always equates a serious campaign to how much dollars you can raise in a quarter, right? And that's what we're shooting for in this quarter up to the end of the year, trying to get as much campaign contributions so that we can show, the DCCC, say, hey, get us on that list, that red to blue list. Those are some of the goals that we have. And of course, we're out there knocking on doors, meeting people. I was just at Maricopa, the city of Maricopa, the Action community. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be at the Pinal County Democrats holiday event in Coolidge on Saturday the 16th, December 16th. And I'll also be at Action Indian Community for their annual celebration right in the heart of Maricopa, the city of Maricopa. So we're going to do some meet and greets and fundraising, and just give it an opportunity for citizens to get to know me. I think that is critical. I mean, we know we don't see our congressman. I haven't seen him. I saw some recently after we jumped into the race, some photo ops. So I think we rattled him too, but he's finally representing us, going up to Navajo Nation. But I think it is critical that we see our congressman. I used to boast that Navajo Nation is 27,000 square miles. It's the largest tribal nation in the country. This district, ladies and gentlemen, this district is almost 60,000 square miles, over 2 times larger than the Navajo Nation. And we've been going out to the communities. We were out in San Carlos Apache, we were out in Globe, just getting people getting them to know us a little better. And I think it's critical. There's some anger out there, yes. I know there's some far right, far left people. And I think the anger, my perspective, I think the anger is because people just don't see their representative representing them in Washington, D.C., just playing politics, dividing the people. You know, in Navajo, they call human beings five-finger people, Balashlai. And if you put your hand up five fingers, you know, all human beings, no matter the color of your skin, no matter the religion, you know, no matter the politics, we are all human beings, and we recognize there are people that are in need. And, you know, we need to tackle, push back on inflation. We need to have someone speak to the folks up in DC about the high gas prices, the high food prices, affordable housing in rural Arizona, affordable child care, you know, for our children and our grandchildren. You know, and then being better stewards of Mother Earth. You know, we hear climate change is happening all around the world, and Mother Earth needs to be taken care of a lot more. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you know, you would help elect the first Native American to ever represent the state of Arizona. But that's not it. You know, it's about a person that has the passion, the compassion for everyone. And I have a record of doing that. And, you know, Washington, D.C. has yet to hear a voice like ours from rural communities. And so I think that we are capable of retaking the seat. And again, with your help, twofold. One, financial contributions, right? Campaign contributions. Second is also to sign our petitions. You know, we're a little bit over, maybe coming on 4 weeks since we announced our candidacy. There's a lot of excitement. Ralph, I'm with you. I'm excited as well. And for everyone all across the state of Arizona, we can take back the House of Representatives, keep the Senate, and keep the White House. And they say that the road to the White House goes through Arizona. It also goes through rural Arizona as well. That's where we need you all to get the message out there, encourage our friends, family members to register to vote and to vote in this upcoming election. They always say, every year we hear this, every election, this is the most important election of all times, right? We hear that all the time. You know what? I was scratching my head. I think this is truly the most important election of all times because it's about our democracy. It's about democracy being spread all across the globe. And, you know, our men and women in uniform have fought hard to expand democracy all over the world. And we don't need to go backwards. We need to go forward. We need to go in unity. And I'm going to do my very best to work, of course, across the aisle to help out, but really, truly represent you all in Congress as a person of faith, as a father, and as a resident of this great state of Arizona. I appreciate the time given to me. What I'll do is I have Keith Bruckus and also Natasha Phillips. Natasha Phillips is our oh gosh, our staff, and also Keith is a volunteer. You may know Keith. He used to be on the O'Halloran team. Sally Adams as well is volunteering her time. Many of the former staff Representative O'Halloran is helping out this campaign, and they say that, you know, it's personal. They want the seat back, and I appreciate their help. And Natasha is our finance director for Dems for Arizona, and just some great people surrounding us. And you probably noticed, if not, we hit national press local press as well. So people are going to be eyeing this. And I'm hoping that we can encourage a lot of people around the district to vote, because when we do that, then everyone that's on the ticket, is supported as well, including the presidential election. So with that said, I don't want to be too long-winded, but I appreciate Ralph for the invitation to be with all of you today. Take care of yourself. God bless you. And if there are any questions, I can stand for some questions. If not, thank you so much.
I just want to say before anybody has any questions, thank you for spending some time with us and introducing yourself tonight to those of us who weren't familiar with what you've done. I just want to say, I know Keith is on here. Keith and I have worked together in the past. So Keith, anything we can do to help, contact me. We'll work as closely as we possibly can with you and with the campaign. So just let me know what you need from us. Any questions? Okay, so we will have all of the information posted on our website, and we'll send it out in our bulletin board blast with the website for donations and signing petitions on eQual, and we'll do all we can to get those things moving in our area. And then once we get into the campaign, you can count on us to help with canvassing and those kinds of things as well. All right.
I did put in the chat our information. So thank you again, everyone. Go Democrats.
Go Democrats. Thank you. So I wanted to make sure that we had Jonathan Ness had time to speak to us. I don't know what his schedule is if he's staying. I wanted to get him in. But there's another announcement that I held off until he was finished, and that is on January 9th, there's going to be a special building dedication with the Casa Grande schools, and it is to honor Randy Wortman. And I've asked Susie to say a few words to tell us about that dedication and what it means to her.
Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes. After Randy died in 2020, probably one of the early people who had COVID, Chuck Wright, who is currently our president of the board, was a member, and he wanted to talk with me about honoring Randy. And now back when Randy was the first principal of the high school, we came from the Midwest and realized that there was a lot of ethnic groups in this area, in this rural area, but they didn't connect with each other, and they were not all taken care of equally. So inclusivity was like important for my husband. And so on the campus, there's a lecture hall, round lecture hall. And what he did, he called it Olasky Round Hall, using our Tohono O'odham language. I think that's what he wanted to use Native American language. And actually, and so Chuck wanted to call the name, this brown building, the Wortman Olasky Lecture Hall. And originally it was going to be done in December, but my grandson is up at NAU, and I thought it would, yeah. And if it's important, I think the important family members, like your grandchildren, need to be there. And so it's going to be in January and my grandson is still going to be here. That's Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the campus. And actually, when the building was opened, my husband had kids make 2 murals on either side. Oh, they're beautiful. The last couple of years, the roof had problems, and so the maintenance people helped to improve the murals. There were scratches and stuff. And one of the maintenance people didn't ask for anyone's approval. He put the name Wortman inside next to one of the murals. Hopefully I can make sure that he can be there, because when my husband was principal, he took care of everyone, treated everyone equally, not just, oh, you're a teacher, the rest of you I don't care. He wanted to take care equally for teachers, maintenance people, aides. So hopefully I can get him come. Hopefully we can honor him and talk about all the positive things that were started in the school. And any questions for anyone?
Susie, we will send out announcement through the bulletin board, and hopefully we can get a bunch of us to come out and help you celebrate and honor Randy's memory. I think it's important for us to do that as part of the community, and not only because you're part of our club, but because it's the right thing to do for Casa Grande.
Ralph, do we know the time yet?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5
5
p.m.
o'clock.
All right. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
All right. So, as I said, any Republican that's elected to Congress empowers the crazies. There's no doubt about that. And now, as we're learning day by day, drip by drip, how insane Mike Johnson is, the speaker. I mean, it's bizarre how radical he really is. They did no vetting prior to bringing him on. If you haven't seen some of this stuff, read the paper tomorrow or Google it.
It really doesn't matter. I wanted to present a little bit of information that Indivisible National has put together about Juan Ciscomani. And when you look at him and listen to him and read his newsletters, you can see the things that he sorts of touts about himself. He's a very polished candidate. And up till recently, he hasn't had very much of a record to run on, because he came from essentially a secret life with Doug Ducey. Whatever he was doing for Doug Ducey, I don't think anybody really knows about. But that's the only background he really has in governing. But his votes recently on all of the budget bills in the House of Representatives prior to and up until we finally got a no shutdown vote have been exceedingly extreme. Here we go. So we call him Walk Away Juan down here because we confronted him once at a public engagement in a park. And the question was about his support or his lack of support for reproductive health rights. And he actually didn't walk away, he ran away. So some of us call him Runaway Ron. You can see he's got a 17% approval rating. He's been caught up in a lot of the MAGA madness, not standing up and coming out against all the things that Donald Trump has been doing. And that's just the beginning of where we think he's going to be increasingly dragged in to these fights. In his newsletters and in his public pronouncement, he talks about his support for veterans. In fact, one of the first votes he cast on an appropriations bill was to cut the Department of Veterans Health by 22%. That's not support for veterans. Next slide, please, Debbie. So one of the things that Indivisible has shared with us is obviously a lot of tactics with which we are already familiar. We've talked about Canvas, and we all know how to do that. We know how to register voters. We know how to send out postcards. But they're asking us to do some new things. And one of those is called an empty town hall. Also letters to the editors. We're very active, ITAA is, on social media about Sisquamani. And I want to show you an example of what an empty chair town hall is like and how it can be really received positively in the press. And I think that's the next slide, please. This is another one of the unrepresentative 18 from Bend, Oregon, and the empty chair town hall that they did and what that looks like. So you get an idea of some of the things that we're talking about. If you could click on the picture, I think you'll get, click on the photo there. Yeah, you'll get the news coverage, I believe. There we go. Well, after you go through the commercial, even Indivisible can't escape commercials. Does everybody know what Indivisible is? Apparently. Okay, here we go. We just need some volume, I think. Well, luckily it came with subtitles.
Maybe you need to unmute.
In the meeting at the Shutes County Library, the organizers asked questions and answered them, quoting published statements from Representative Chavez DeRemer.
Representative Chavez DeRemer, I would like to know that you are truly representing me as one of your constituents. I think it's really important. You have presented yourself as a moderate, and I would like to know that that's true.
In May, 50 constituents and community organizers signed a letter requesting a town hall. They wanted to challenge her yes vote on the Republican Limit, Save, Grow Act of 2023.
We've been following how she votes. We want to reconcile the difference between what she sometimes says and what she sometimes does.
We requested an interview with Representative Chavez DeRemer. A spokesperson responded with a statement saying she's already hosted several town halls over the phone, reaching thousands of Oregonians with unscripted questions and answering sessions. Her office called the meetings accessible and transparent, adding there have been over 150 meetings with Oregonians. The statement went on to say the office had closed 400 casework requests and responded to 11,000 emails and letters from constituents. Roger Sabadini, one of the organizers, believes that on the phone versus in person makes a big difference.
And on those Zoom calls, they're mostly scripted, and questions are pre-assigned sometimes in advance. It's not the free exchange of ideas is what you really need in an in-person town hall. This year, Congresswoman Andrea Salinas has held 5 in-person town halls, and Senator Ron Wyden has held 35. Dylan Anderman, News Channel 21. Well, how do you feel? Do you think?
Thank you, Debbie. I
Chavez
think that's pretty much the end of that.
town hall meeting? Weigh in. Head over to our web poll.
So let me ask you all, has Juan Sisquamani ever been to Casa Grande to do a town hall? I'm not seeing any affirmative responses, so I'll take that as a no. How about Eli Crane?
Ichabod
take-
Crane, nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So here's the same tactics that I'm sort of throwing out here really work just as well for Eli Crane. And so we can take that to heart for communities like yours that are divided between these two congressional districts. CD6 is not quite as sprawling as Jonathan Nez's district, but it runs from Casa Grande south to Tucson. It bisects Tucson. It goes all the way down to Green Valley. It encompasses almost all of Cochise County, all of Greenlee County, and part of Graham County, as well as part of Pinal County. And what ITAA wants to do and Indivisible wants to do is to not limit the activities that we have to just Tucson. As Jonathan Nez pointed out, a lot of CD6 is very rural as well. So we need to do some outreach in those other communities as well. Next slide, please, Debbie. ITAA has a very active letters to the editor group. So if you get the star, there's going to be something about Sisquamani from our group almost every day that points out he votes like an extremist and pretends to be a moderate, and he doesn't represent us. That's why we call him an unrepresentative. Next slide. Obviously, we're all familiar with protest actions and rallies. Now, and it's easy to organize a group of people in Tucson to come out for a rally. I don't know how easy it is in Casa Grande to do that, but Indivisible, ITAA are happy to help any of you organize those kinds of things, whether it's in Casa Grande, whether it's in Eloy, whether it's in Safford, Morenci, Clifton, anywhere we need to go to just get people recognizing who Juan Sisquamani really is, will help us. And Indivisible will help with costs for some of these things. Next slide, please, Debbie. I love this idea. If you only have 2 people and you want to drive around all day with a sign saying whatever you want to say, messaging wise, about issues that are important to your community, Indivisible will pay for billboards targeting people like Sisquamani. Next slide, please.
That's all I have.
Oh, it's the photos. That's the photos next.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, what Debbie's going to put up is a recent action that occurred here in Tucson on Monday outside of Sisquamani's office. And we're lucky in that sense that he has an office that we can stand and protest against. One of the things that I am doing as part of coordinating this effort for Indivisible in CD6 is figuring out other places that are meaningful to other communities about where to hold rallies, where to hold protests, what kind of issues are important to your community. So we've made up some sign. Juan Sisquamaga is our favorite. Here's our cardboard Juan that we're going to start taking to empty chair town halls. And we hang little signs about him. This one says, "I don't care about women's health," because of his consistent votes against reproductive health for women. That action was primarily geared to the shutdown. You can see the stop the shutdown signs there that Indivisible National made for us at their expense, a 2-day turnaround time. But we're considering doing something in front of Sisquamani's office, every week, starting after the first of the year, with an issue that are directly derived from his votes, either on the floor or more frequently his votes in the Appropriations Committee, of which he is a member. And that's where some of the most extremist, diabolical, if you will, cuts to social programs, education, anything you can think of that is of benefit to working families, he's voted to cuts. I think that's all the pictures we have. Thank you, Debbie. So what I'm looking for, and this is a big ask because we're all asked at this time of year and for the next several months to work hard for our preferred candidates and against those that are not our preferred candidates, is that I'm looking for people in every community I can make outreach to who will help me or allow me to help them and Indivisible to help them organize these kinds of events in your communities, in places that are important to you, around issues that are important to you, and times that are important to you. There may be another shutdown in 2 months. We don't know. There may be another partial shutdown in 3 months. One of the things that we've talked about doing is if there's a shutdown, is protesting or doing rallies in front of Davis Monthan, which is our Air Force base, or going down to Sierra Vista and doing it in front of Fort Huachuca. I don't know what kind of facilities, because I'm not from your community, would be meaningful in that event if there's a shutdown. Would it be your county's Department of Economics, not economic security, but you know what I mean, where people go and get their health needs taken care of, where they go and pick up their SNAP benefits or apply for SNAP benefits, any of those kinds of places that would be helpful to organize these kinds of actions. If you're interested in writing letters to the editor, for example, to the Courier or the Dispatch, I can hook you up with our LTE team and we'll share our letters with you. You can redraft them to insert issues that are important to you or use them just as they are. So I'm pretty much done with my presentation. So basically, I'm just asking for volunteers. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. And if you or anyone else are interested in engaging in these kind of activities in any part of Pinal County where you think it's meaningful, then please email me and let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathleen. So I am definitely interested, and speaking for our group, we will be in touch. We've got a number of ideas that I'm sure we can work together on. As far as letters to the editor, we get our Casa Grande Dispatch prints 3 days a week, and it's hard to find a day that we're not in there. So there's been a few that we've already gone after Siscomani for being a fake moderate, and we will continue the pressure. But I'd like to coordinate with your team on that as well. So yeah, I'm open and very interested in coordinating in any way we can.
Yeah, we'll take cardboard Siscomani wherever you want them.
All right. Can you put your phone number in the chat too?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Anybody have any questions for Kathleen? Thank you very much for spending some time with us. Well, I truly appreciate it, and we will be in touch.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Thank you all.
So, in past meetings, I don't know how many times we've heard, how the heck can we get some young people in our group, and young blood, new blood, however you want to phrase it. And so LD16 had a presentation not too long ago that Debbie Broom told me about. And so I invited Jacob Marson to come on our meeting tonight. And he is with Keep Arizona Blue Student Coalition. And hopefully he's going to fill us in on some strategies on attracting some young student voters. So Jacob, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ralph. Let me get sharing my screen. I'm not. This is give me 1 second. While I figure this out, I want to say thank you to Mr. Nez for jumping in this race. We were all very concerned. Who's running against Eli Crane, right? We were like, we need a good challenger, and I cannot think of anyone better than you. So thank you so much. And then great presentation from Kathleen. Indivisible does some amazing work across the state. So let's see if this works now. Share. Maybe my colleague Bradley can with this one. Am I sharing? Can anyone see this? No.
Not yet.
Oh no.
Debbie knows she has to give him permission, I would think.
Debbie, you have to give him permission.
No,
I
Debbie.
did. I did.
I think it just preferences don't allow me to share my screen. Sometimes I'm on one of my ASU accounts, so it's kind of strict sometimes. Okay, well, Democrats of Casa Grande, welcome to Student Power 101. My name is Jacob Marson. I am the founder and director of Keep Arizona Blue Student Coalition. Bradley, we can go to the next slide. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Who we are? We are a statewide organization that focuses on student turnout civic engagement, and winning elections for Democrats up and down the ballot. We really do believe that Democrats can win with the students in their community and making sure that students vote, because we know that students vote Democrat, they vote enough. Bradley? How do we do this? You might ask. I'm going to go a little quickly over this part because some of you guys might have been in our LD16 presentation and you kind of already saw some of this. And then we're going to kind of go over some good data. Voter registration, that's the first step. Obviously, we need to register our young voters at the age of 18, right? We need to be in those high schools registering them at 17 and a half. So when they turn 18, they don't have to worry about it and they're already pre-registered. Student roundtables, we take a really unique approach with candidates all across Arizona. They want to host a roundtable. We say, great. We connect with local organizations in their area with our membership, and we host them a roundtable so that they can get into local news, hear about the issues, and really show that their campaign is a youth-focused campaign. Hitting doors is super important for young people, right? We need to be having those conversations with them, showing them how to vote, who to vote for, and the issues that matter. We know students are on social media. So having a big social media presence is super important, making sure that we are having graphics, informational graphics, informational videos. And that can also be paired really well with community events, right? Promoting community events on social media. We're hosting an event with this Saturday with Representative Seth Blattman and Lorena Austin up in Mesa. And that's going to be at the Mesa Community College, just about the economy and how students kind of fit into that fold of making legislation economic and making an economic difference. And then candidate workshops, right? We know that not every candidate is going to be a young person or understand youth issues, but what we do know is that they can sit down with us and hear from us first. What do we care about? What are the issues we want to be addressed? And so that's why our candidate workshops are super important. We're currently running one with SOS Arizona to do school board candidates. So we've had a super good time with that. We've trained dozens of candidates who are ready to run and now understand what the issues are that the youth care about. Bradley, we can go to the next screen. Bradley. Perfect. Okay, our target LDs, right? These pretty much match national organizations' targets because those are the targets based on the data. So we have a few in Maricopa County, but then we also on this list, really importantly, have LD16. So when we talk about LD16, we're talking about a pretty big LD compared to an LD like 2, 4, 9, or 13. We'll kind of get back a little bit into LD 16 in just a moment, but we're going to try to talk about some big picture data, right? So here's when it comes to voter turnout in just last year's general election where Democrats did super well. What we're seeing is a huge drop off in the youth vote. Voters 18 to 24 showed up 24%. That is not good. And that is why our organization is out there and we're really trying to get that 24% to 50%. Let's match the 45 to 64-year-old voting bloc because guess what? When young people vote, here are our results. 71% of people 18 to 24 voted for Katie Hobbs. Compare that to 65 plus, it's about 50-50. So we know that when students are turning out, they're voting for Democrats. The issue is they're not turning out. And so that's why our organization is ready to invest in the youth vote, is ready to really drive those numbers up. Because I believe the next slide, we're going to get a little bit more into Casa Grande. This is perfect. This is why the youth vote matters so much. So we took a little bit of 2020 and 2022 general election data. And here's what we found, okay? So you have about 20,000 eligible voters in Casa Grande. But now we go, of course, the youth voting age block is going to be a little smaller than, let's say, an area like Tempe, right, which has a bigger youth vote. But that's still 3,800 votes. Well, students' ballot cast was only 1,600. So that's a 42% turnout rate. Not bad. But when you're in an LD like LD16, that's not going to cut it. Because when we go to the next slide, here we have Representative Keith Seaman, right? He needs to get reelected. We do not have the state house without Representative Seaman, who I don't know if is on this call right now. I don't believe so, but we don't have the house without Representative Seaman. So when Representative Seaman in 2022 really surprised the state by winning. He only won by 644 votes. So Bradley, if we can go back one more slide, we can find those 644 votes within this student voting group. If we can make that instead of 1630, 2630, let's really put effort into turning 1,000 more students out to vote. Keith Seaman is fine. He wins that election with more than 1,000 votes. So we can go forward again. This is why the youth vote is so critical, both statewide, nationally, but also in districts like LD16, in swing districts across the state. We don't have the big margins in Arizona to brush off the youth vote. We have to be focusing on it. Bradley, if we can go one more. And this is what we're up against, right? I don't know if you guys have heard of Turning Point USA. It's a $55 million backed operation, headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona, with one mission, and that's to turn out the Republican youth vote in Arizona to elect people like Eli Crane. Eli Crane is Turning Point's favorite person. They think he should be the next president, right? So
oh my God. Oh,
is
sorry.
they're putting money into school board candidates, into state house candidates, because they know that your Casa Grande school board member will be the next Eli Crane one day, right? Like these people are going from school board to state house to Congress. They're not stopping at school board, they're going up. And with a $55 million backed operation, they have the resources to do it. They have the resources to say, you jump in this race now, we'll fund you now, and we'll fund you for your races ahead. But let's get the most extreme agenda in there. Let's start banning books. Let's start, putting in anti-LGBTQ plus resolutions. Let's get you on these podcasts with crazy, MAGA individuals, and let's make you nationally known. And that's what we're up against, right? Now, the Democrats, the Democratic students, they're going to vote. They're just not voting enthusiastically. And that's one of the issues, right? Is we have the issues on our side when it comes to the youth vote. We know that we care about education. We care about climate. We care about gun safety. And those are issues Democrats care about. So our one goal is to bridge those issues with the candidates behind them. Now, I know that presentation was a little short. We'll have a few minutes for question and answer, but here's some way to get involved. Obviously, we're a PAC, so contributions are very helpful. We're a grassroots organization that really relies on people like you and others across the state from your $5, $10, $15 or whatever you can give. Social media, right? That's one of our main amplifying channels to get students to know who we are and so we can reach them 2024 and beyond. So following us there, liking and sharing our posts to your grandkids, to your kids, to your nieces and nephews is always super helpful. And then starting 2024, we'll have ways for you to get involved with us right now. We're not super on the ground right now as we don't really have our candidates yet, right? So once we start having our candidates and once we start having some things that students can start doing, we'll get you involved. So of course, I believe Bradley dropped all the links in the chat, but signing up for a newsletter is probably the best way to stay involved with us. We don't spam your inbox that much. We just try to get you the essential news as well as some updates on what we're doing. But I would love to take any questions, and I really want to thank you guys for letting me come on tonight. I know I kind of went through what we do a little bit quickly, as I know we did present at LD69, and I didn't want to bore the crowd. So, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of more in-depth information on the data, which we don't usually do. But we wanted to do for this Zoom to really just show the importance of the youth vote and specifically Representative Keith Seaman's reelection.
Jacob, this is Marty. How are you coordinating with other youth groups like Students Demand Action and or March for Our Lives?
Yeah, so really March for Our Lives, Arizona, their youth chapter has pretty much dissolved, really unfortunately, right? Only because it takes resources to keep those kind of programs alive on a national level when you start going down to state chapters. But we work heavily with Jacob Martinez, who was their past president, to really make sure that we're still engaging their members in their issues. So we are focused on a broad range of issues, none more prevalent to the youth vote than gun safety and school safety that has obviously really plagued our generation in schools. So working within those groups is super important, also working with those groups. So we work with groups across the state for different town halls, collaborations. When I talked about our roundtables, that's when we start working really with youth groups, maybe C3s on that kind of end of things to get more like mental health awareness groups, or there's a plethora of groups you can pick from. But so yeah, we do work with students groups across the state. On our end, we really try to make sure we stick the focus with Democrats, right? So like people are scared of the word Democrat. Our job is to make students not scared of the word Democrat and to show that Democrats are fighting for issues that everyday students care about.
What
So,
about
Jacob, we've tried to connect with the Central Arizona College a number of times. I don't know if they have an active Democrats club there. I don't think they do. But what do you suggest a way for us to reach out to those students who, some of them don't live in Pinell County or LD16. Nevertheless, some of them may not be registered to vote, and we look at that as fertile ground for Democratic votes anyway.
Yeah, Ralph, that's a very important question. Marty, did you have a second question? Just I can.
Yes, what are you doing to get the young Latinos and the Native American population? Because I think those two are really neglected voters, and I think we need to do all we can to encourage them to not only register to vote, but to vote.
Perfect. I'll answer that question first, and then I'll get to Ralph's question about Central Arizona College. Young Latino voters are only growing in size in Arizona. We just met with Voto Latino, one of the largest Latino voting organizations in the country, to really put an emphasis on meeting them where they are. They're on social media, right? What platforms are they on? Are they on YouTube? Are they on Hulu? Where do we need to be targeting our message to make sure that we're getting to the right people? Same thing with young Native Americans, maybe on rural areas. So making sure we're not just targeting Tempe. When we're targeting our operations, not just targeting Tempe and Tucson and Flagstaff. Instead, going into those rural areas, phone banking into those rural areas. We know we might not be able to get a student out into a smaller community, right? It's just not feasible. But making sure that we're texting, calling, reaching out to them on social media through direct message. There are things we can be doing that a lot of organizations, especially youth organizations, aren't doing. Also having material in their respective languages, I think, is super important as well. And it's a very easy step to take. So like that language barrier isn't a barrier anymore. We don't want that to be a barrier. So working with our partners to make sure that we can really translate it correctly and get it out in the correct ways as well is super important. Marty, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, of course. Ralph, to get to your Central Arizona College question, that is one of our trickier areas. We haven't really found an in. Now, of course, what we do a lot of times is we might table at a community college or hang posters up with QR codes on a community college. And it's effective, but not as effective as finding people in those colleges to get involved. So we have tons of students in different community colleges, high schools across the state. Central Arizona College is one that we have not been very successful at. We're going to continue looking. We still have some time before we need to start activating students to really put that rush behind them to not only register, but to actually vote. So time is a little bit on our side still. But yeah, like heading into August with the primaries and then obviously November with the general, it will be important to have someone in Central Arizona College who's knowledgeable, who's a Democrat, and who's willing to advocate on behalf of the issues and the causes that we care about.
So if we come across some potential CAC leads, can we give you those contacts and have you, I'll be honest with you, a 19, 20, 21-year-old is not gonna respond to a 75-year-old guy necessarily as easily as he would to someone in your age bracket. So
yeah, and that's exactly true. So like what we do a lot of the times is someone might have a younger person who they don't even know how to reach out to them, asking if they want to get involved. So they'll just kind of like slide them their social media handle or their email, and then we'll say someone referred you, right? So like someone referred you, as you might be interested in this. Here's what we do. I would love to hop on a Zoom, meet for coffee, and kind of go over how you can get involved. It's scary getting involved, right? Like especially right now, students, it's an all-time high for risk to get involved with politics, right? Like it's a risky bit a risky business for young people. They might not want to. We kind of help with that a little bit when it comes to, like, we're here to support you. Here are some things that like you can do to kind of build a community, not so much be like a debate club. Like, we're not promoting debating with the other side. We're more promoting, we know we have the students on our side. Let's go talk to them and get them out to vote. So yeah, Ralph, if you want to send me their emails, I'd be more than happy to connect with them, or if you just have their phone numbers or whatever you may have.
I will do that. Anybody else have a question for Jacob?
I can also
All right.
drop.
Well, thank you very much. Very informative. I'm looking forward to working with you as well in the future so that we can secure LD16, Pinell County, CD2, CD6, and keep moving Arizona blue. So thank you. very much.
Jacob,
Larry's got a
give
question?
me
Yes,
hope.
I have just a concern for you. I received, I think, an email or a text message from your group, but not knowing who you were. You know, you didn't introduce yourself on the group or who you were, you know, what you were or who you were. I
Mhm.
mean, I just deleted it, period, because I get, you know, like 30 of these a day
Yes.
around
Okay.
the country. So just a suggestion, when you put out a text message, identify not only, you know, keep Arizona blue, but who you are.
There, I'll make sure we start doing that. I know our comms team usually just integrates lists. Candidates might be like, hey guys, I'm not going to run again. I have this list. Do you want it? We'll kind of do a little list sharing there. So that's how you might have fallen on our list. But yes, I'll make sure at some point we have quite a big list of emails to supporters, people who may have signed up and some people who may not have. So I'll make sure we kind of do like an introduction email or like a general messaging email to kind of show who we are and what we're all about.
Yes.
And we can help send that out through our email blast as well, Jacob. Kathleen Mayer had an interesting question that she put in the chat. Would carrying abortion access petitions be helpful on the campus?
Yeah, totally. So Kathleen, like, we think abortion is the way to get these students out to vote, but with the emphasis on, you know, this might pass, this might not pass, it will likely pass, right? But in case it doesn't, let's keep voting up. So if it's like, you know, it's gonna be a proposition, so it's gonna be, I think, under all the candidates. So let's keep voting up and let's vote all the way up to president, because we need these people to care about abortion. Because in the you know, in the very sad circumstance that, you know, we have a crazy MAGA legislature who then says, like, we're not going to follow this law, you know, like there'd be a lot of legal questions once it does pass, to like, what, you know, what if we don't want to follow the law, or like, what does some crazy maybe county attorney decide to do? So we need to make sure that we're voting up out. But yes, Kathleen, this is a great way to get a student to stop walking on a campus or to open their door, is to first talk about abortion. That's a great conversation starter to then be like, well, this one matters, but so do this school board candidate or this congressional candidate. So yeah, but that's a great idea.
Great question, great answer. All right, well, Jacob, thank you again for being with us and giving us some great information. I'm sure we'll be in touch and be working with your organization.
Perfect, sounds
You
good.
give me hope, Jacob. You give me hope.
All right, so to cap us off tonight, just so you know, Keith Seaman wanted to be with us tonight. He was tied up in a bunch of stuff. They're writing, the Democratic caucus is writing bills that hopefully at least get a hearing on some of the committees run by Republicans. But nevertheless, he was very busy with that. Sent his best wishes for our meeting, and he'll be with us as soon as he can. So to close this out, there's one more speaker I've got for a couple of minutes to introduce himself, and that's Kevin Taylor, who is a Democratic candidate for Pinell County Sheriff. Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Take it away.
Well, I'm going to do like everybody else. Thank you for an opportunity of being here. I appreciate it so much. And I just want to introduce myself. I was a candidate in 16 when Babby was sheriff. That was a tough goal because there was a bunch of us, but I made it through the storm. So, and now I'm back again. couple things that I want to make myself clear. I am a candidate, and I'm a strong Democrat. Um, I don't jump from party to party or job to job. So me, I'm the kind of guy that's going to tell you what needs to be done, not tell you what you want to hear. And I feel that if you don't come out straight and tell everybody what it's going to be like, instead of saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you end up doing nothing, and you just get in the office and you say, well, I'm not going to go no place else. And that's not true. I heard that too many times. I'm here forever. And the last two uh, Republican sheriffs that we had told everybody the same thing. I'm not using Pinell County as a stepping stone. Me, I'm going to be here until I get kicked out if I'm elected as sheriff. Um, I want to go out and find out what needs to be done in the county and how we can get it fixed instead of what I want to do that things needs to be done. So my goal is to get an outreach into all the people who signed my petition, all the people who may have voted for me if I get the chance to do that. One of my biggest thing is the uh, the fentanyl. Um, I know there's different ways that we can tackle that, but the fentanyl is killing our kids every day, and it really doesn't affect you until it happens to somebody in your family or somebody that you know. So I'm working on a strategic plan of how to knock that out the box because it's crazy. If we keep letting that stuff get into our kids' bodies and that schools and stuff, we're not gonna have the young population to do anything because they're gonna be strung out or they're gonna get passed away on this stuff. So those are the couple of things I want to do and put out into the public and get out there and reach all the public that I can. Um, I have um, not really a health problem, but I used to have but two legs. Now I'm a double amputee, but I can't and I won't let that stop me from doing with the passion that I want to do. So I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be everywhere that I can. And if people ask me why that, I'm running for sheriff, I'm just going to tell them why because there's just things that need to be done. Uh, I may have a disability of slowing down, but I'm going to do all my job. I'm going to do 100% to get the job done. And I just want everybody to know that. And if you see me, well, you're going to see me. I'm not a member of the group route, but I guess I'm going to join the product if you guys let me. So, uh, again, my name is Kevin Taylor, and I'm a candidate for Pinell County Sheriff with 38 years of law enforcement and security. And right now, I own a private agency, detective agency, and I own a security guard agency. So, thank you so much, and I appreciate you. If there's any questions, just shoot them at me. Hello?
No?
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
yeah, one of the things I've been really disappointed with in terms of the current sheriff and the board of supervisors is this real focus on the supply side of the fentanyl issue, and they don't want to look at the demand side and how to deal with that. As sheriff, how would you view that situation?
Well, good question. You have to have, you can't do it by yourself. To me, back when I was younger and full of piss and vinegar, I thought I could do all these things by yourself because I was a deputy sheriff in Ohio. But you have to have a team together and you got to get out there and pound it and see what's going on. You can't hide stuff. You can't hide and say, well, I fixed the fentanyl problem um, because you didn't. You have to go out there. Who's that young man that we just had?
Jacob
It's,
Marson.
what was his
Jacob.
name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Yeah. we'll have the people like Jacob, uh, on our team to find out how these kids are getting the fentanyl and how they're, we know how they're using them, and we know how they put them in bags of Skittles and stuff like that, and in your food if you ain't watching. So we're gonna have people like them. Them young kids will tell you stuff if you ask them. They don't want to be called a narc or nothing like that, but some of them will get involved because they hurt their family. But we just have to, be careful. But you have to have a team to pound the streets and see what's really going on. You got, if you have a sheriff that say, well, I did this and I did that. It's not about I. You all by yourself. You gonna get tagged. But if you got to have that team to be with you to find out what's going on. If you don't have a team, this stuff is just gonna keep on coming in across the board. It's gonna come in everywhere. And like I said, it may not bother you now, but if it hits one of your people in your family, your loved ones, then we got problems. So, with the sheriff's department, I don't know what they're doing. And there's some pattern that will not follow. Because if you got it, you got. And I'm sorry, I keep preaching, but if you don't have a team, if you don't have a team with you, you're just going to be in chaos, and you're going to be telling the public a lie. And eventually, they're going to find out that you're not telling the truth. And I'm too old to tell a lie now, but back in the day, I'd lie all the time. But you can't do that now. So you have to tell the people the truth, and there's got to be a solution someplace. I've been lucky, I have a 13-year-old grandson that goes to school, and I tell him, and you guys can pass this on to your loved ones too. If they're hungry or somebody offer you mostly they're coming in Skittles down. If they offer you something that you don't know what it is, say I'm gonna pass on it because they'll drug the young kid, young lady, whatever, and then it can be a lot of chaos. So I don't know if I answered your question. I went on a rampage here for a minute, but
Uh, Thank you, Kevin. Remember, all of our candidates, you can go on the Secretary of State's website, go to Equal and sign petitions. There's
Right.
also ways on each individual campaign's website to donate to that campaign. No campaign can run without money, and the Democrats at Casa Grande won't be able to do much without money. So uh, whatever you can afford will be greatly appreciated and put to good use. We spend every penny toward getting Democrats elected, and I know the campaigns do exactly the same. So whatever you can afford will be greatly appreciated. So just a reminder, we don't meet in December. Uh, if we can try and get, we did it a couple of months ago and it was very successful. We did a lunch thing. If we can put one together sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we'll see if we can do that. I know a lot of people came out to it and asked if we'll do it again. So I think we should give that a try. I'll work with our leadership team and see if we can put something together. And I want to remind you, uh, request to speak is going to be coming up again once the state sessions start, where you can actually weigh in on bills that are in committee. And we'll have training on that and more information on that. But we encourage you to take part in that. Call your legislators, your congressional legislators, and your state legislators. Tell them what you expect of them, and then make notes about that. And then if you can do letters to the editor, as Kathleen talked about, and I know you know that we do quite a bit of that, that
right.
would be helpful as well. Uh, so our next meeting is January 26th, Thursday, January 26th. We will have an election for vice chair and treasurer. Right now it's scheduled for 6:30 on Zoom again, unless we get an in-person place. I'll let everybody know well in advance if we do. And as of now, our guest speaker, usually I don't give a name away. I always try to keep it under wraps so that everybody has some anticipation. But as of right now, it's Ruben Gallego. So I'm going to let everybody know that as of now, Ruben Gallego is our scheduled lead speaker. We're also going to have, I forgot the guy's name, I didn't write it down, but, and Debbie might remember. He's going to talk to us about fighting Arizona's right to work law. And this, unions right now are surging, and I think we've got an opportunity in Arizona to promote union membership, and we should do all we can to do that. So we're going to have someone on board. Debbie, do you remember his name?
That is Dylan Wild.
Dylan Wild. Thank you. So Dylan Wild is going to be with us to talk about fighting Arizona's right to work law. So unless somebody's got anything they want to talk about, yeah, Marty.
And we kind of talked about this briefly, but I know I've seen things in like the Phil Team 6 stuff, and they keep having things where like Zoom classes to learn how to register voters. I mean, has there been enough change where maybe that's something that we should think about? Because we want to get it right, because God knows the Republicans are going to try to, cut us off at the knees if we don't dot every I and such.
Yeah, I will. I'll make a note. I'll invite someone from Field Team 6. I've worked with them, and I really like their program and the way they do things. So I'll invite the Field Team 6.
Because I think anytime we can get out, like to get these petitions signed for abortion, we also need to be registering voters if possible, right?
And we should always, whenever we're at any event, whether it's asking for petitions to be signed or whatever, I always make sure that we have voter registration forms with us. So,
okay.
All right.
I just want to do it right.
Yeah, Roger.
Ralph, Democrats of Robeson Ranch are holding a bake sale on Saturday, and we have the co-chair of that event on the call with us tonight, Lana Rock. So, Lana, would you like to jump in and give us a little update on the cookie bake sale on Saturday?
Okay, so we have 35 people signed up that are going to bake goods. We're having a packing party tomorrow at the chairman's house. And then we start at 9 to 1 at the Robeson Ranch Hermosa Ballroom. And so last spring in March, we made over $1,600. So we were really pleased, and we're hoping to make $1,600 or $1,700 again this year. So if you'd like to contribute, it's not too late. You can send me a text or send Roger a text, and we'll figure out how to get your goodies wrapped up.
And the charity that we're funding for is the Eloy Elementary Parent Liaison Center, and it's a winter clothing drive for the students whose parents can't afford to buy them clothes for the winter.
Yeah, anybody that wants to help out, and we can drive into Robeson on Saturday and buy some stuff, right?
Right.
Absolutely, and there are about 45 vendors that will be there at the craft fair. It's everything that is sold is handmade, handcrafted. So there's a lot of different items from pottery to stained glass, jewelry, books, you name it here. It's a great event. It brings out well over 1,000 people.
What time is that from?
9 to 1 on Saturday at the Hermosa Ballroom, Robeson Ranch in Eloy.
Look at that, Debbie.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Hermosa Ballroom.
Are we allowed to get signatures?
Well, you're always allowed to walk around among the crowd.
Well, I don't know, because sometimes people don't want to be bothered out just having a good Saturday morning.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Question, concern? Thanks for being here. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. We'll try and get together, and we have some great candidates. We're going to be working hard between now and next November, getting them elected. And so take a couple of weeks off, and then we'll be back with getting you busy, helping to get all of that done. So thanks everybody for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.